Well, hey guys, so we're in the book of Kings at this point, and I want to talk about second standard. But before I get there, let's talk about the Kings really quickly, because this becomes a really confusing time as we're reading the Bible for a lot of people. Because what you've got is you have a split storyline now that's going to happen. From here on out, we're going to hear about the two kingdoms of Israel. One, Judah, that's the David side, right? And then you've got Israel. So that's the rest of them, the 10 other tribes, right? There's the two that stay with Judah, and then the 10 tribes that go on Israel. So you've got this split that happens. And so as you're reading, and it talks about, this king was the king for however many years over Israel. Understand that's what he's talking about, the split that's happened based off of Solomon's son, Rehoboam, Jeroboam. That was kind of the beginning of that split. And because of, and this is where I want to talk about, because of David, because of who David was, the promise continues that God promised David, because David was a man after my own heart, is what God says. And God said that David followed me wholeheartedly in everything that he did. He promised David that he would never fail to have a son, to have someone on the throne, right? Which obviously we fast forward, we can get to Jesus, and we're like, okay, we got the son, right? The relative, Jesus, born from the line of David, that continues that throne. So there's this split. So as you're reading it, don't get too caught up, don't get too confused by what's going on. Recognize again, there's Judah, so the tribe of David, right? And then there's Israel, and there's going to be a lot of things that are going on, and they're fighting each other, and they help each other, and then they'll fight each other, and then all of a sudden Israel will be taken into captivity, and then Judah later on. But again, what I want to talk about today is setting the standard. David was an incredible man, and yeah, he had his faults. Parenting, didn't handle conflict, especially relational conflict, very well. Obviously the Bathsheba thing, and killing Uriah, his one of his mighty men, because of Bathsheba, trying to cover that up, right? That whole thing. But God says that this man was wholehearted after me, and what we read and will continue to read is a comparison that this individual, didn't follow me. This is what God's saying, didn't follow me as David had followed me, right? And so as we're reading that, what I think is so interesting to me is to recognize that God blesses the descendants of David because of David. Did you hear me? He blesses them because of David, because of the relationship that David had with God. God continually blesses that line because of David, and says, for those that will follow after me, right? Then and follow after David and serve me, God speaking, that would serve me as David served me, I will even bless them greatly, greater than that. 1 Kings chapter 15, we find about Asa, and it says at verse 11, and Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, as David his father had done. Well, David's not his father, he's his great-great-grandfather. I think if we go through the lineage there, maybe great-great-grandfather, right? There's a separation there. But I bring that up because to me, as a father, as we celebrated Father's Day a couple of days ago, I'm thinking about this in that mindset. Will my kids be blessed because of the relationship I had with God? I'm pausing for a fact that your screen didn't just freeze for a second, because I want you to think about that. Will my kids, will my descendants, will they be blessed because of the relationship I had with God, because of my running after God with my whole heart? Well, guess what? They will be blessed if I run after God with my whole heart. And shouldn't that be what we desire? But far too often, I think we try to work other things out. I'm gonna get a lot of money, or I'm gonna build this, or I'm gonna do that, or I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna do me, right, and I'm gonna live my best life. And what we don't recognize, or we fail to remember, is that I'm supposed to be setting up the generations that are after me, my descendants. I need to set them up for success, like David set up Solomon for success, but be even greater than that. I should set them up to where God will answer their prayers because of their dad. I want my daughters to be able to go to God and for God to say, yes, I am going to answer that prayer because of James, and he your father followed me with his whole heart. I want my grandkids to be able to pray to God and say, yeah, and God say, yeah, I will answer that prayer because of your grandfather, your great grandfather. That I become that kind of man, a man like David who chases after God with my whole heart, and that my descendants after me are blessed because of what I did, even when they go wrong. Right? Even when they follow the wrong path, that God will bless them and remind them and say, hey, your grandfather, your great grandfather, your great 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 grandfather followed me with everything he had in him. And therefore, I will bless you to pull you back into who I am. Because understand, you've got this other group. And what we're going to start reading in is that they didn't follow God with their whole heart, and they did what their fathers did, right? Not David, but what their fathers did, and they were even more evil. And we see this destruction that goes down. Israel quickly goes into destruction, where Judah continues and maintains sovereignty for a lot longer. The challenge is out there, guys. Men, women, all of us understand what kind of legacy are we setting up for our kids. And the greatest legacy we can have as individuals, the legacy that we can have for our kids and our grandkids and those that come after us, is the legacy of our relationship with God, how close you and I are to